To let you know, and I have reasons to believe that Mukund Gurjar will agree with me, many people are surprised to learn that about 25% of the pharmaceuticals prescribed by doctors in the developed world have their origins in the chemicals produced from the flowering plants. If you include products through fungi and some animals, then this figure will go to 40%. And you talk of structure activity relationship, you say that you will create modern molecules and all, but here is an example of what can be done. Many plants can be identified from the old sources, are still known and used in some form today, herbals. Now there is a wave all around the world of herbals, and India has excelled in that area. Chinese have excelled. Now imagine artemisinin for malaria. It's a peroxide. Nobody imagined that peroxide would be a drug. And it was based on their ancient study. People realized that some plants give extracts which can do this wonder. And artemisinin today or derivatives of that have become one of the greatest drugs for combating malaria. That large part of the world population still relies on plant and their crude extract as their only affordable source of medicine. In India also, you will find the way Ayurveda. I can give you my own example. Right in Pune, renowned Dr. Ashok Bhatt, late Dr. Ashok Bhatt, I had soft tissue syndrome in '96. I went to all the experts in modern medicine, in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi, all the renowned persons, right from name it the area, and I went to those experts, got in those days where nerve conduction was done in 1 or 2 places in Bombay, I got everything done. None of them could treat me. In fact, if I had taken those medicines, probably I may not have lived or I would have been confined to bed. But I'm in front of you, talking to you, thanks to what the Ayurvedic medicine did. And he was willing to explain to any doctor I bring that what is the approach he had for treating me. I'm giving you a live example of what can be done by our known science. Now, you all know that India is full of Nadi Vaidyas. And this is now being converted into modern science, that you connect this electronically. And whatever you do by Nadi reading, can you convert through a software into what are the possible repercussions of what you read, what kind of diseases you might have. And this is at a fairly advanced stage. So how you take ancient science, ancient methodology to a modern practice and make it much better. Here's one simple example. I'll continue with my how this plant produce bioactive molecules. I think it is for their own self-protection in a way. And how plants are able to, you take any disease you want. I will first, very soon I'll make a reference to aspirin, an all-time hit, and that nobody knew that it will be a blood thinner. And they say it is even good for cancer. But it came from natural product. People in Europe used to use this extract, salicylic. So there are many compounds even for cancer treatment whose origin is in natural products. And our people, long before allopathy was born in Ayurveda, they were able to. Let us take the most modern science, which is very popular with all young scientists, nano. Without using the word nano, Ayurveda produced Swarna Bhasma, and it has been proved now that if Swarna Bhasma is not nano, it doesn't work, because today we have all the science to measure the particle size and size distribution, and if you don't follow the original recipe, you may have content of gold same, it doesn't work at all. Now convert this to high science in catalysis. We know that ppm level of CO2, which is not acceptable in fuel cell, if you want to remove this CO2 from say 20 ppm or 50 ppm to less than 1 ppm, we need gold catalyst, which doesn't touch hydrogen in oxidation but only touches CO. And that CO, if the gold is not nano, it doesn't work. Even if your loading was in the catalyst, say 5%, you can have 10%, 20% non-nano gold, it doesn't do the job. Now, where is the origin of this nanoscience without using that word? Or a very common item which women, kajal. Today you have L'Oreal supplying kajal. But go back to our grandmother or great-grandmother and how they made kajal and how it was nano. If kajal was not nano, it won't work. Now you use this word nano today to make it really more appealing, particularly my fellow academics to get funding. You say, I'm going to work in nanoscience and technology. Good, but I think we must bear in mind that there is a lot of ancient knowledge which we better recognize rather than claim that we have suddenly discovered something very, very new. I will, this is the reference about why even today United Nations is not able to ban poppy. If there was a United Nations resolution that you cannot grow all this throughout the world, then one would be armed. The simple reason is that the drugs based on that, whether it's morphine, codeine, there is no equivalent for them, and the method of synthesizing them is too expensive. So we continue to use morphine, we continue to use codeine, and you see, I'll show you the structure, how complicated are these. Then we also have modern drugs from non-medicinal plants, from yams and yews, and one can give, steroids are a very good example. If you go back to ancient science in India, how these steroids were exploited, and see finally the most important aspect which has revolutionized the society, the family planning. One part of steroid to preserve pregnancy, another steroid to not to have pregnancy. Can you beat some aspect of science as wonderful as that you can have one type of steroid for this purpose, another type of steroid, and imagine the great impact the oral contraceptive made to the society. And what was the science behind it, what was the basis of it, it will be very worthwhile for modern scientists to look into the origin of that. The medicinal importance of steroids arises from the fact that some of the major hormones in the body belong to the chemical group of particular importance are the sex hormones, etc., which are expressed in other words. I need not go into that. The natural compound is also used as a template in attempts to synthesize the pharmacophore, eliminate the undesired portions of the molecule, and synthesize related compounds so that structure activity studies can be carried out. Few years ago, there was a bombastic talk that how we will be creating new medicines only by theoretical predictions. In fact, they had painted such a rosy picture. Nothing of the kind has happened. You can name probably one or two drugs which have come through structure-activity relationship. Several major groups of drugs, including probably the best-known drug in all the world, aspirin, about which I sang praises, that how aspirin came from salicylanol, from a natural product. Salicylanol in the body goes to salicylic acid, and it is what does the wonders. Major groups, in fact, I already referred to this part. Plant tissue culture was originally conceived as a useful method for producing expensive compounds. Now, many of you may not know that excellent work was done on tissue culture in India by Panchanan Maheshwari in the University of Delhi. At that time, they did not realize the commercial exploitation of tissue culture. Pune, INCL, and many laboratories have done something great with tissue culture. Some of our agriculture produce is benefiting a lot from tissue culture. Now, it was practiced in a very different way in ancient time, but today it is done on a more scientific basis, and this tissue culture has made such a great impact. Biotechnology is a buzzword these days. What unfortunately, because it was a good selling point, you will find number of places, including in Pune and so many places, B.Tech in biotechnology. I'm sorry to make a rather caustic comment that biotechnology is far too complicated. You need very, very talented teachers to teach biotechnology. Unfortunately, what it has done, taxonomies have been actually wiped out in India. We can hardly find new, because botany became redundant, so to say. People don't study botany, they go for biotechnology. But imagine how outstanding taxonomists we had who would look at the plant and give you all the description, what this plant is and all that. Now since I'm very fond of gardens and we have heliconias, people don't know that the origin of heliconia is not India, it is Peru in South America. How plants have come from different parts, how they have been grown, how cashews came to India, how chiku came to India, how tea came to India, how many things from India went. When Britishers went to Australia, they took many things from India to grow vegetables in their climate. So this globally things happen like that and will continue to happen. But for us to feel humbled, have you realized that we have not come out with any new cereal? For how many decades? There is no new cereal. We still have wheat, rice, quinoa, that old thing, bajra, maize, jawar, nothing new. Why? We must ponder and say why we don't have new cereal. In the science of polymer, we don't have any new fiber. We have only nylon, polyester. We keep on improving polyester, but no new class of synthetic fiber has come. The reason is the cost of introducing a new is so high that only people with deep pockets can do it. Whether it is a rubber which is to be used for gloves, they are old antioxidants which were approved, they are not very good, but they are approved. So nobody wants to put new antioxidants in the gloves. So sometimes many rules become anti-science because the cost of getting that antioxidant approved for the gloves. You all know that the natural rubber latex based gloves cause allergy. In many countries in the world, in many surgical procedures, the use of gloves based on natural latex is banned and you have to use nitrile rubber based gloves. Now you can see for yourself, and they are disposable because they are only for one use. Now I can give many such examples and to show that how the old practices, modern practices, and how old practices can be taken to way forward with the inputs of modern science. I will just sketch for you certain molecules without giving, because very limited number of people would be from the science of chemistry, but the names will be familiar to them. Atropine, caffeine, everybody knows caffeine because you drink coffee or you drink tea, but caffeine is well known. In fact, there were pharmaceuticals like APC tablets. C stood for caffeine. Similarly, I have list ephedrine. Everybody knows ephedrine because it is also abused for people to get drunk. Somebody told me jokingly that big export of Corex in India is in northeast because all these get smuggled into Burma, Myanmar, because all those fellows gulp the Corex bottle right away to go high. Now any good drug can be abused, it's like sleeping pill can be abused, but it is also a great, it is in nature of science that many molecules which are excellent for one purpose can be abused. Nitroglycerin is good for heart, but nitroglycerin is explosive. Similarly, cellulose nitrate is good for nail polish, but cellulose nitrate can be explosive. So sometimes these molecules have this dual role. You all know for blood clotting, warfarin is used. Warfarin was actually rodenticide. So there are these wonders of these molecules, what they can do, and there are many such molecules. Quinine, everybody knows quinine because how malaria was handled in the earlier years. And little while ago I referred to artemisinin, that how artemisinin is making such a great difference to treatment of malaria. For cancer, vinblastine, our Mukund Gurjar, A.V. Ramarao and all these guys have done a lot of work and vinblastine. And like that, I can keep on giving you. But every natural product, take our humble clove. The clove oil has eugenol. It does wonders. That's why lavang is so popular in India. And the only abuse of this is the low-grade cloves get exported to Indonesia because a lot of Indonesians smoke these reject cloves. They smoke that, you know, it's funny, but that is what they do. There are many such whole range of compounds which I can keep on giving you. I will jump for sake of time. This is that artemisinin, how you look at the structure of this, how nature is able to do this crafty synthesis. We are struggling to make, we are only making some precursors and trying to use synthetic procedures so that we are not limited by natural resource. I want to tell you what happens is one good thing to